What film role was 100% perfectly cast? J.K. Simmons as J. Jonah Jameson. Edit. Thanks for all the awards everyone. Yeah, definitely, he was such the perfect choice they got him to portray Jonah again in a completely different Spider-Man series. I wish he wasn't bald this time. J.K. Simmons as Cave Johnson. And as Fletcher in Whiplash. Dude was intense in that film, couldn't imagine anyone else in that role now. Ian McKellen as Gandalf, Lord of the Rings. I always considered Lord of the Rings perfectly cast in general. Imagine how hard it was to find Hobbit-sized actor. Not as hard as it was to find not one but two actual wizards. Even beating out Christopher Lee, who had Tolkien's blessing to play Gandalf. It would have been a shame, Christopher Lee as Saruman. He was the best one to play villains who are fully conscious of being villains. Right. He's better in that type of role than as Gandalf. He would have been good as Gandalf too, however he's great as a self-conscious villain. And to add, Christopher Lee was quite a good cast as Saruman. Christopher Lee was good in every single thing. I remember early rumors of Sean Connery in the role. I'd be curious to look at that alternate reality if that would have been true or came to fruition. You shall not pass. Christoph Waltz as Colonel Hans Landa in Inglourious Basterds. And Leonardo DiCaprio was Tarantino's original choice as Hans Landa. It's always strange to see original casting decisions which seem, in retrospect, utterly bizarre and wrong. It's perhaps testament to Christoph Waltz that it's pretty much impossible to imagine anyone else in the part. But mostly I can't see Leo suddenly becoming fluent in French, German and Italian for the film. Okay, hear me out here, this might sound crazy but stick with me here. What if, instead of becoming fluent in 3 languages for a role, he can work with an accent coach to learn how to speak those particular lines organically, and then he can pretend he's fluent in these languages. A sort of acting, if you will. Leo is actually already fluent in German. Hugo Weaving as Agent Smith in The Matrix. Mr. Anderson. I bet everyone read in Agent Smith's voice. Weaving has a natural Australian accent, and the fact that his American accent is just a tiny bit off in The Matrix makes it perfect for Agent Smith. Bold to be sweet with an Aussie accent. Oi Mr. Anderson you daft cunt, The Matrix is good as mate. Edit. I'm being told that Aussies don't say daft. I'm sorry alright. All I know is that Gary's a fucking legend, Milo is heaps good, so long as you leave some crunchy bits, and ScoMo's a bit of a cunt. Edit 2. Roido turns out some other Aussies say daft as well. All you wankers correcting me can fuck off you daft bogans. I'm off to Macaw's for an Arvo hot jockey. Lol make all the agents Australian for some reason. Have one randomly show up wearing an Australian slouch hat with his suit. Definitely Anthony Hopkins as Hannibal. Anthony Hopkins as Mr. Ford in Westworld is great too. Anthony Hopkins is always a win. Edit, Dr. Ford. Anthony Hopkins playing Loki disguised as Odin. Oh shit. With all due respect to Sean Connery, best Bond etc., thank goodness he turned down the role of Hannibal Lecter. From Wikipedia. For the role of Dr. Hannibal Lecter, director Demi originally approached Sean Connery. After the actor turned it down, Anthony Hopkins was then offered the part based on his performance in The Elephant Man, 1980. Other actors considered for the role included Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, Dustin Hoffman, Derek Jacobi and Daniel Day-Lewis. I don't think he could have come anywhere near to the sinister stillness of Anthony Hopkins. Still, if only there were audition tapes. FBI agent Starling slowly approaches the last cell, and a figure steps out of the darkness. Hello Clarice. Matthew Lillard as Shaggy. He was so good he even took over as Shaggy's voice actor too. Boycotting the new animated movie on the simple basis that they didn't even approach him to play Shaggy. Dude is Shaggy and has been for years. I know they're kids in the new movie, but come on, at least give him a shot. He literally damaged his voice to be able to play Shaggy. Like how can you not cast someone who has that kind of passion for the character? I think they got the whole gang pretty spot on to be fair. But this might be from the bias of an at the time 7-year-old. Linda Cardellini was an excellent Velma. I love her. I agree the whole cast was awesome. Alan Rickman Severus Snape. Harry Potter had some phenomenal casting. Along with Alan Rickman, Imelda Staunton as Umbridge and Kenneth Branagh as Gilderoy Lockhart were perfect choices. How dare you forget Maggie Smith? The most perfect casting decision ever made. Paraphrasing a joke from Modern Family, but Maggie Smith could play Batman and be the perfect casting. J.K. Rowling told him Snape's entire backstory and arc from the beginning, so he went into it knowing exactly how to act. I believe not even Chris Columbus knew the full backstory when they were filming Stone and Chamber. I recall reading that a few times Rickman deliberately disobeyed his direction and, when asked why, said something along the lines of "because I know something you don't." I can hear "because I know something you don't" perfectly in Rickman's Snape voice. All Julia and Angelica Huston as Gomez and Morticia. They were both perfect individually, but the way they played off of each other took it to another level. Edit. Oh snap, I got awards and such. Thanks. I feel good that my best comment ever is about the Addams Family. It feels right. My favorite on-screen depiction of true love in a marriage. I would kill for her. I would die for her. Either way, what bliss. I was going to say them too, but also Christopher Lloyd will always be the best Uncle Fester. He was great. I think Christina Ricci's portrayal as Wednesday should get at least an honorable mention, Carol Kane as Grandmama in the second one, and Joan Cusack's Debbie too. You know what? The whole damn cast. They are all perfect for those roles. And I will never get tired of watching either movie. Christina Ricci seemed like she just leapt fully formed from the head of Tim Burton. She was perfect as Wednesday. Robin Williams as the genie in Aladdin is one of the best cast film roles of all time. I was going to say Gilbert Gottfried as Iago. I'm half convinced that man is actually a parrot disguised as a human. He was the bird in the cartoon Cyberchase. Patrick Stewart as Professor X. I love the story that when meeting to discuss taking the role of Professor X, Stewart was given an X-Men comic with the professor on the cover. His response: "Why am I on a comic book?" I kind of want to see his interpretation of Lex Luthor now. Sir Patrick Stewart is a goddamn national treasure. Of all nations. Have you seen him do any Shakespeare? His performances are off the charts incredible. He is a man of superlatives. Edit. Thanks for the happy cakes. I am overwhelmed by the number of people wishing a happy cake day. Thanks to you all. He is former Royal Shakespeare Company. They set a very high bar. Charles Dance as Tywin Lannister had such a commanding presence. Edit. Oh shit gold, not sure what it does, but thanks bro. Smiley. Especially in his first scene where he is cleaning a stag that he had hunted. WTF, never made the connection between this and House Baratheon. WTF, and I even read the books. Does he do it in the books as well? Not that I recall. Honestly, I hate a lot of what the showrunners did, but they did give Tywin some fantastic scenes that didn't exist in the books. Edit. Dang, I hate D&D as much as the next Circulager King fan, but credit where credit is due, I think. Some you'll refuse to believe a shred of creativity didn't come from George R.R. Martin. Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. Grew up with a dad who owned a comic book shop. Knew all about the Marvel and DC universe well before they started the MCU. Marvel has done a phenomenal job with casting in general, but Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man is absolutely perfect. Edit. I also just want to add how amazing it's been sharing the experience of watching MCU grow with my dad and twin brother. Well before the first Iron Man movie came out we would play Marvel or DC. On long car trips. My dad would say a character and we had to guess which universe they were in. My brother and I are 30 now, and my dad is in his 60s now and retired, but we still go see every Marvel movie together opening night. We always talked about who they could cast for each character. Going to see Endgame in theaters opening night with my dad and brother was like the culmination of this one shared interest we all have. Marvel movies just wouldn't be the same without my dad and my brother.